Key to ISS mission is the wish to contribute to social justice and equity on a global level. In order to achieve that, ISS wants to build strong partnerships with organizations and individuals around the world. An international network for the co-creation of knowledge on development.
Hello, my name is Karim Knio. I'm a senior lecturer in politics at the Institute of Social Studies, Erasmus University, Rotterdam. And I'm also the academic convener of the Mundus MAP program at ISS. Mundus MAP, which is the Erasmus Mundus Masters in Public Policy, MAP, is a joint degree that offers obviously a Masters in Public Policy. It consists of a consortium comprising 4 institutes: Institute of Social Studies here in The Hague, also the Central European University in Budapest, Hungary, the Institute of International Relations in Barcelona, eBay, and also York University in the UK. Our students come from everywhere in the world. Of course, it's a Mundus program. These students also intermingle with the European students who are also an important part of this program. Also, the staff in every single department is very international. Our program actually deals with equipping students with academic but also practical skills pertaining to issues related to public policy. From a content point of view, we analyze institutions, processes that are operating at different levels of governance, whether these are couched in international, regional, national or local levels of interaction. Our program basically tries to look into the conjunction, if you want, between problem situating approaches to public policy and governance and problem solving. For example, in terms of problem solving, we look into how particular problems in governance and public policy are defined and what kind of solutions we can offer to solve these particular problems. The problem situating approaches, on the other hand, look also and analyze the context in which we are actually defining these problems and the context in which we are also solving it at the same time. So this unique combination of these kind of 2 perspectives that the 4 institutes actually deliver constitute one of the major characteristics of this program. The program is also characterized also by, how shall I put it, the practical skill component. So, for example, all students who are enrolled in this program need to do an internship that is relevant, that is located within public policy, but also we undertake a study visit where we visit certain institutions that are related to these issues that we are studying. We ask students to also write some kind of policy briefs in relation to some of these issues as well. So there is this kind of combination. I would like to also say that this program is it's a kind of a unique experience in the sense of it's not only combining that knowledge but also trying to combine that particular knowledge in order to launch careers, let's say, as a policy advisors, policy analysts, people who would like to work in international organizations and so on and so forth. The greatest achievement of the program is that we have applied for another bid that starts from 2012-2013 for another 5 academic years. We've moved from a double degree towards a joint degree, and our bid was competitive and was accepted by the European Union. And hence, I think that is a great testimony of the achievement, if I can put it this way, of this particular program. And we are happy actually now to welcome the new batch of students with a new type of degree, a joint degree, and a new outlook for Mundus MAP. And we hope that you will be joining us in this adventure.
So my name is Michael Krim. I'm an economist at the International Institute of Social Studies, and I want to talk about a partnership we recently had with an institution in Africa, in Francophone Africa, and this institution is AfriStat. AfriStat is an international organization that is active in the Francophone zone and has the responsibility to produce and to harmonize statistical data, mainly in the economic and in the social domain. And we partnered with AfriStat within a World Bank funded project, and this project was about identifying and analyzing the constraints of small and micro entrepreneurs mainly informal entrepreneurs. And AfriStat has a well-known expertise in measuring the informal sector, which is by definition is quite difficult. So the impact that partnership had was that not only we had very good access to data and somehow to knowledge about the local context in these different countries that form Francophone Africa, but we also had excellent opportunities to disseminate our findings to these partner countries, to reach politicians, and this was very well reflected in a final dissemination conference we organized in Mali. Mali is where AfriStat is located, where we had more than 20 countries present and where we could discuss our findings with representatives of national statistical offices and various ministries. So in that sense, that was both on the project input and on the output side, it was a very helpful partnership. Now for the future, of course, we hope that this can continue and that we can somehow try together to get follow-up funding to continue our research, maybe also to extend it to other countries in Africa, and so to make it as relevant as the first part was. Of course, a major problem we have now is, you all know, Mali is in big trouble, and it's not sure whether AfriStat will stay in Mali. They may change the country, and this of course would also mean some disruption to their activity. But overall we are quite confident that this collaboration can continue that way.
Let me start by saying it's a pleasure meeting with the directly and having the opportunity to have a close conversation with the rector of the ISS, in this short meeting. It's been wonderful, and I will reiterate that my period at the ISS between 1976 and 77 was a time of great intellectual ferment, which did impact me very much in my ongoing work, and in fact my career progression since I attended that institute, because we had East and West, North and South meeting at this particular historical conjuncture, and the debates were so much intellectually stimulating and very relevant for policy dialogues globally and locally.
I teach economics at Nehru University in New Delhi, and I'm also the Executive Secretary of IDEAS, the International Development Economics Associates, which is an international network of heterodox economists who are concerned with issues of development. We have now more than 4,000 members from about 120 countries. And ISS, some of the people at ISS are members of this network, but more importantly, I think that there has been collaboration of the ISS with IDEAS in important ways, particularly in conferences and in developing new ideas for research and projects that can be very important. My collaboration with the ISS has been at different levels. I have attended some of the conferences and also worked with several people here, and I've been part of a volume that dealt with the impact of the financial crisis, which I think is a very important volume in terms of describing both the causes and the effects of the crisis in different parts of the world. I think that the collaboration with ISS is very useful because it allows us to have a different perspective on different parts of the world. There are several scholars here who work on both developed and developing countries, Rolf van der Hoven, Andrew Fisher, and a number of other people, and those who work on gender studies, most recently Wendy Harcourt, but also Amrita Chachi, Rachel Kurian, who provide different perspectives on the important problems of our times. And in particular, the sense of openness that you get by allowing different approaches, different heterodox perspectives, and particularly alternative views on how economic policies get framed and how they affect the world, I believe is a very important contribution. So I look forward to more collaboration with the ISS on all of these issues.
Projects we have with the National Economics University of Hanoi and the University of Economics of Ho Chi Minh City are part of the collaborative degrees that we have here at ISS with partners abroad. In this case, these two institutions in Vietnam are granting master degrees in development economics. And these masters were originally started in 1994, so 18 years ago, as a project funded by NAFEC. NAFEC has then also continued its support to the programs, and we are very proud of the fact that when the support from NAFEC has ceased, these programs have turned into sustainable programs that are now running thanks to the fees that students are paying. So the involvement of the ISS, and especially of Professor Karel Jansen and Max Spoor was basically crucial from the beginning. And this was 1994 in Vietnam, a project to start a postgraduate study course in development economics with these local partners was of course a challenge. I mean, we are talking about just right after the Doi Moi in Vietnam. It was a society that was opening up, and this was one of the ways to open up, right? And you have academic institutions working together from Vietnam and from the Netherlands with the ISS. This was of course also a very challenging process, so I can only imagine my colleagues at the time going to Vietnam, finding libraries where there were only a couple of books that were photocopies actually brought by someone. And well, I have now the opportunity to go back to Vietnam and see the incredible progress that has been made. You have outstanding facilities with libraries, access to internet resources, the same resources we have here at the ISS thanks to Erasmus University, and the same facilities are available in Vietnam for our partners. On top of that, we have a very committed staff from Vietnam. Many of them have a PhD from overseas, including with the ISS itself, or otherwise universities in Japan or Australia. And what we do with our partners in Vietnam is that the ISS provides an overall quality control to make sure that the programs that are run by our partners are up to international standards, and we provide support to our partners to achieve this objective. And we also provide teaching input and supervision to the master thesis. Since 1994, there have been already more than 700 alumni in these two universities, in the two master programs. These alumni have now started working, of course. We have very important alumni. They tend to work both in the public sector, in the private sector, including private companies, banks, but also NGOs. And we are quite proud also of the fact that some of them have now become themselves academics. Again, some of them came to ISS to do a PhD or started a PhD in some other university. And this is quite remarkable, since, but also easy to understand, because these are the only two postgraduate programs in Vietnam on economics.
We were approached towards the end of the year 2006 with the question whether the economics of development specialization could become involved in a 2 years so-called double degree program in economics. That is to say, the first year being delivered by the University of Indonesia, and the second year being delivered by ISS. Actually, the economics department of the University of Indonesia did already have some kind of similar arrangements with other universities. However, it was felt that perhaps the ISS could give a more policy-oriented orientation towards the program.
Project started in 2007, and initially we had between 5 and 8 students in the first few years. But more recently the number has gone up to over 10. Last year was the first year that we had well in excess of 10, in fact we had 13 students. And I understand that this year again we'll have another 13 students.
Due to the fact that the students from OE had already spent a full year at the MA level, they were exempted from some of the courses of the ECD program. So this made it possible to reduce their stay here at ISS in The Hague to a period of about 1 year.
So far our experience has been really positive, although it's a very large number to have in each program. Usually we have about 20 to 25 students in total, including the 13. It's worked out very well. The students have blended well with the others. They don't keep to themselves, which is incredibly important. And what we really like about the Indonesian students is that their effort. All of them try really hard.
The program was evaluated, and from the evaluations too it became clear that the program was a successful one, and therefore it was decided to continue the arrangement.
One of the recent developments, in fact last year we had a meeting with the University of Indonesia academics and ministry officials from Indonesia who assured us that this project was a priority for them, so much so that they were pledging to use independent finance to fund at least 8 students a year at the ISS for the next 10 years. This actually came as a bit of a surprise to us because we didn't realize how much they actually valued this program, but in fact it was so highly valued that they decided that it should receive top priority in terms of budgetary allocations, which is quite gratifying because it helps us to plan for the future. For us the project is more than just a teaching collaboration, because we are envisaging in the future research collaboration with the University of Indonesia.
And I expect that also in future times this formula will prove to be a successful formula for training participants from third world countries.
Actually, the cooperation between these two institutes is started from a long time ago. In the beginning of 1993, one of our Professor Chu Futian, he is the former dean of this college, we call finance management. He paid a visit to the Netherlands, mostly in Wageningen University. And during that time, he met Professor Hans Oxgård and Professor Max Bohr. So 1993 and 1994, he already started working with people from Wageningen and a professor from Institute of Social Study. And in 1997, actually they got this funds from the SAIL project. And of course, the main purpose of this project is just to a new door for the Chinese scholar to outside, especially to the Dutch research. This project creates many chances also to the staff to get training in the Netherlands, and also collecting the material that can be used for back home to teaching the students.
This is also PhD projects, but there was a lot of research being done, joint research on rural poverty, on environmental problems, on water problems, land, etc.
Also in this period, we got another cooperation opportunity. Is we applied a project from the European Union is concerning about restructuring the higher education, resource and environment economics in East Asian transition economy. And that's also ISS is one of the key stakeholders in this project. And from that project is different from this previous two. As I said, this project is mostly concentrated on how we can incorporate the teaching method, the teaching system in Netherlands.
And sort of as a link, we brought in another Royal Academy Finance project in Xinjiang University and in areas of Xinjiang, which, and that is the multiplier effect of this project. For instance, Professor Xi Jinping, he was born there. So he knew the place, and so we made contacts with him. So it's in a sense expanding different partnerships. And so we have done several research projects there, and we are planning also to continue that.
During this period, actually, the College of Land Management has become one of very important partner in China, because now our cooperation is not only between ISS and Wageningen, but also extended. So we really benefit that, say that Netherlands is the first stop for the College of Land Management, but actually we now have many stops in Europe.
Most recently, just a few days ago, there was a student of that department who got a 2-year scholarship from the Chinese Scholarship Council to spend 2 years here while doing the PhD in China, and we do the joint supervision. So I think that's also a very concrete outcome.
My university, especially my college, really benefits through the cooperation with ISS, with Wageningen, with our Dutch colleagues.
And in general, I would say this has been a very productive project in terms of studies, in terms of publications, in terms of knowledge also, because it has a wide range of areas where we have done research. Gansu province, also the eastern provinces. We have done conferences in various places, in Kunming, for instance, I remember.
But of course, since I'm still quite young, and my colleague, a number of them get training from Netherlands. We are quite active. We still want to say, okay, in the coming 10 years or maybe 20 years, we want to extend it, enhance it. And of course, we want to explore new area to work with ISS, to work with our Dutch colleagues.
And next year will be crucial because there are now 6 of these partnerships left, financed by the so-called program of strategic alliances between Dutch universities and Chinese universities. And next year there will be a process in which we will tender for a longer 3rd phase.
We want to keep this cooperation, working very hard to make this cooperation has more fruitful product.
Well, my relations with the ISS, in fact, go back in terms of reference to my student days, because studying at the ISS was quite a good alternative for students in my country. At the time, I was studying back in the late 60s, early 70s. Now, through the years, I developed personal relations with some of the professors at the ISS. Well, in particular, I have had a very strong relations with Robert Boss, who I actually convinced to come and work with me in the United Nations. So I guess I stole him from ISS. But he has had a really amazing contribution to the work of the United Nations Department of Economic and Social Affairs, in particular through the improving the quality of the two major reports that the DESAO, as it's called, produces, which is the World Economic and Social Survey and the World Economic Situation and Prospects. I've also had relations with Professor Balpi Fitzgerald. At the time, he was at ISS. Now he's back in Oxford, where he was originally a professor. And actually, he wrote with Professor Boss at the time. They were at the ISS in an amazingly important book on financing development. I had also the opportunity, I think thanks to the invitation of Professor Boss at the time, to give one of the Kurt Martin lectures. Remember, of course, that a very important person was associated with you, in the past, who is, of course, one of the classics of development economics. Now, to a lesser extent, I have had all other relations with ISS through time, with other individual professors. Professor Opsor, who is I've linked with him in issues of the sustainable development. He's of course an extraordinary, well-known figure in this field, and with Jan Pronk, who of course was a very important figure in development cooperation. At the time, he was in the government of the Netherlands, and he has also participated in many United Nations processes, of which I was part. So I celebrate the 60th anniversary of ISS, who is one of the most important institutions in the world in the field of development, and I hope it will fulfill the target of having 60 more and even more years. Thank you.
Ten years ago, when we FHR Institute, which was established in 2000, when we entered the buildings of ISS, unannounced, with a request for help, because we had an intention to start a course for diplomats. This was a request from the government. So before we came to see ISS, we'd also seen Institute of Klingendahl, and that was the first cooperation we set with ISS. Together with ISS and Klingendahl, we decided to start a diploma program on international relations and development. The development part was obviously the part that ISS was mostly interested in, but there were some professors as well that were teaching in international relations. Names of people who helped us very much at that time are Howard Nicholas, Karen Arts, and Will Hout, and later on Jos Mooij, and we're very grateful to them that they had the confidence in setting up a partnership with us. A couple of years ago, and actually it is 6 years ago, we decided that we should look at whether we could upgrade this diploma course into a master's. And we decided that we would go for a master's in governance. ISS felt comfortable that they could support us on their own. When I say support, I must say that the role of ISS in this partnership is, in the first place, to help us develop the curriculum, the curricula, select the teachers, the lectures, an important say in selection of the students, and actually the entire quality assurance of the program is the responsibility of ISS. So we do have the operational responsibility, entire operating responsibility of the program, but the quality assurance responsibility for quality assurance is with ISS. The program went well to the extent that last 2 years ago we decided that we should seek international accreditation for the program. And in fact, in September 2011, we obtained the EAPA accreditation, the accreditation of the European Association of Public Administration. I must say, in particular, Jos Mooi and Wil Houten did a lot of work to achieve that accreditation. It was a lot of work, but it was worthwhile. And we're very proud that we are the first non-European institution that has obtained that accreditation. Up to now, we've delivered about 150 masters in Suriname, and given Suriname's population of 400,000, 400 to 500,000, you can imagine that 150 masters in governance do make a difference, do make a major difference. There are currently there are some in very prominent positions in the Suriname society. We've also done a human rights program, a diploma program in human rights, which was a UNDP-funded program. And Karen Arts in particular has been very instrumental in that program, and the partnership is again structured on the same basis. We also did a diploma course in international and comparative law, and again in cooperation with ISS, and again Karen Arts was very instrumental in that. The intention is to upgrade this program to a master program, hopefully in the second quarter of next year. So we had we do have a very solid and good relationship, partnership relationship with ISS. So the future looks bright as far as I'm concerned, and I would sincerely hope that with ISS together, that we can stay for another long period, and that the next celebration of what we call in Suriname a biggiari, that at that occasion we will be able to again be together with ISS. Thank you.
These were just a few examples of ISS partners around the world. Partners with whom ISS builds a strong network, an international network for the co-creation of knowledge on development and equity.